Call the Commissioners Court to order. Call the roll, please.
Glenn Whitley, County Judge. Roy C. Brooks, Commissioner Precinct 1.
Present.
Andy Wynn, Commissioner Precinct 2.
Here.
Gary Fickus, Commissioner Precinct 3.
Here.
J.D. Johnson, Commissioner Precinct 4.
Here.
Constitutes a quorum.
Thank you. Our invocation today will be brought to us by Craig Sanders, Grace Presbyterian Church in Arlington. And after the invocation, please stand for the remain standing for the pledge.
Thank you. Let us pray. Loving God, we stand before you. You are the author of all, and you give us power to do what we do. You give us responsibility. We ask that today it is in your name that we do all that we do, to honor you and to help people, to promote justice and the welfare of people. We thank you for people who take their jobs seriously and seek to honor you in all that they do. Lord, now take the details of what we will do and help us to see you in it. Help us to know that what we do leads to good and to justice. Lord, give us diligence in our jobs. Help us to be thankful for a land that we live in where we can honor you openly, that we can love you, and that our lives lived in your name benefit not just ourselves but the greater good of our community and our society. Lord, we pray for our leaders, that they would be wise, that they would have ears to listen, that they would have hope for the future, they would lead us in the right direction, for it is a great honor and also a privilege for them, but also a huge responsibility. So we pray for wisdom for them. Pray for all those who work for our county and city governments, and that they would do what is right in your eyes. Lord, we thank you today for this day. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Thank you again for being here today. We appreciate it. Agenda announcements.
Thank you, Commissioner. Members of the Court, we have one or more announcements for you this morning. The first one will be under County Judges and Commissioners. This deals with J1, interlocal agreements in Precinct 1. We're going to ask that we hold A, B, C, D, E, and F, and ask for action only on G and H today. Also, members of the court, I do not believe that we're going to need to be going into closed session today. So there's not a need to do that. And then finally, I'd like to remind the court that today at 2 o'clock, we have the IT Steering Committee meeting, which will be held in the Family Law Center.
All right.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, GK. We have our minutes of the June 14th meeting.
Move for approval. Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? Please vote. Vote is unanimous. Consent agenda.
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? Please vote. Vote is unanimous. We have a public hearing today to consider the placement of no truck stands on Linkcrest Drive, Precinct 4. Yes, sir.
Members of the court, thank you. Linkcrest Drive is one of the two entrances into Linkcrest subdivision. Prior to this request, we had two-way frontage roads on the for I-30. TxDOT converted those to one-way frontage roads, and since then that's kind of caused a little bit of an issue with the adjacent retail development around there. The trucks aren't able to, I guess, get to those, so they're going south into the Linkcrest subdivision, causing safety issues, complaints to Precinct 4, and we're just asking that you approve our installation of no truck signs for this.
I think they're anticipating going into that addition and turning back to the right to get back to.
That is correct.
Not Linkcrest. Is it Linkcrest Drive?
It's Linkcrest subdivision, but I'm not sure what the next road is.
They can't get there, and so it's just a matter of these trucks going in there and tearing the neighborhood up.
And they get down there real far to the south in that creek area, and they're not able to turn. The roads are real narrow down there.
Is there anyone here today wishing to speak for this other than myself? Is there anyone opposed? Then I declare the public hearing closed, and I would move approval of the request.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Please vote. Vote is unanimous. Thank you, GK.
Thank you, Commissioner. Members of the Court, we go to the Administrator section. On item number 1, we're requesting that the Commissioners Court approve an oil, gas, and mineral lease and the consent to pool with Chesapeake Exploration. This concerns .1565 acres, as described in your court communication. This is a tract that we own in the city of Sansom Park. We did put this out for bid. We received one bid from Chesapeake. That bid is $3,523 per acre plus a 25% royalty. If approved by court, our bonus check would be $1,819, and as I said, we will receive a 25% royalty. Staff is requesting court approval.
GK, is this the one that we have a little conflict with Sansom Park on somehow or another they have drilled a water well and have a water storage tank on that?
That's correct,
property?
and we are working with the city of Sansom Park. We've already had discussions with the district attorney's office, continue to do that to basically provide that property to Sansom Park. But we do own it currently, and we do own the minerals.
GK, what's their plans on timetable and drilling? Have they applied for a permit?
I do not know the answer to that, Commissioner. This is a normal process where they get I believe 2 years in order to drill.
Well, they're not going to drill on this site, are they?
No, that's why we're pooling.
But it's part of.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just trying to figure when we might be getting a check.
We'll get $1,819
Well, for the gas.
Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion made and second that we approve this lease. Any further discussion? Being none, please vote. Vote is unanimous.
And if we can move to item 2, keeping to form as to our strategy on how to ask for a prohibition on outside burning. I hope that everyone got some rain last night. We're going to get a little bit more today. But talking with the fire marshal this morning, we are requesting that the court approve an order which prohibits the outside burning in the unincorporated areas for a period of 90 days from today or until repealed by the Commissioners Court.
So I've already talked to GK about closing the county one time on an ice day, and it was sunshiny and about 80 degrees. And now it's raining, and we're going to have a prohibition on outside burning, but it is rather dry out there, and I would certainly agree, and I would move approval of this.
Second.
Motion made and second. Is there any?
Yeah, I have.
Yes, sir.
What effect does this have on fireworks?
It has no effect on fireworks. The sale of fireworks is still active. There's no prohibition against the sale of fireworks at this time.
And the process that we go through if we have a problem with the sale of fireworks is?
I believe there was a June 15th day that by law we had to declare that by June 15th. We did not because the drought was not as severe as it needed to be to ban fireworks. Plus, that fireworks ban would only affect 2 types of fireworks, not all fireworks.
State's burning up, we didn't do anything?
Actually, Commissioner, this part of the state is probably the wettest of all parts of the state. It's hard to believe, but it's
Well, we're putting in a fire ban, a
Right.
burning ban today.
we are. And what's happened is that the fire marshal is going to team with Denton, Collin, and Dallas County Fire Marshal's offices, and we're going to do a large PR blitz on this, encouraging people to, in 4th of July activities, to go to organized fireworks displays, rather than go out and ignite fireworks on their own.
So you got to notify the fireworks people about 3 weeks ahead of time then?
Yes, sir. We're conforming to state law.
No emergency situations?
I believe that if it, I'll need to defer to the district attorney's office on that.
I'm just curious.
I think that if it's just, there's some statutes that allow, actually the county judge to declare certain types of emergencies, and we can maybe look at that, but the standard is you have to set that by June 15th, and our conditions weren't dry enough to set it at that time.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? There being none, please vote. Vote is unanimous.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yes, sir. District Attorney.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have two subrogation recovery checks, the first in the amount of $15,476.03, and the second in the amount of $87.30, requesting authorization for the acceptance of these checks into the county funds.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion made and second. Is there any discussion? Please vote. Vote is unanimous.
Thank you, Your
Ray.
Honor.
Thank you.
Human Resources. Ms. Glenn.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have two items for the court this morning. The first item, we're asking the court to receive and file the personnel agenda.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? Please vote. Vote is unanimous.
And, Your Honor, with your permission, before we ask for approval of item number 2, I'd like to have Kay Hancock, the county's wellness coordinator, come forward and give the court a very brief presentation on some of the progress that we've made in our wellness program. She's going to talk a little bit about the assessments, and then I'll come back and ask approval for the incentive award.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What I want to show you today are just a few things, some of our statistics that we have. Right now we have 3,022 members of the wellness program, and of that number, 1,854 have done fitness room orientations. The fitness room use is up. That's from 2005. It's up 53%. Walk the Loop from 2009 is up 26%. And group exercise classes from 2005 are up 55%. So we believe that, our program has really come a long way, and with our incentives has encouraged people to use our facilities and participate more. Now, from our HRAs, if we look at our aggregate reports from 2009 to 2010, we had improvements in 4 of 12 clinical areas: systolic and diastolic blood pressure, body mass index, and weight girth, which are all big ones. And then if we went back and now this is a smaller group that we're comparing, people that participated in 2007 all the way through to 2010. But we had improvements in 7 of 11 clinical areas. 3 of those were major improvements: systolic, blood pressure, LDL cholesterol, triglycerides. And then we had also improvements in diastolic, blood pressure, body mass index, total cholesterol, and cholesterol to HDL ratio. So we've definitely made some strides there. Now, what we're looking at for this year, and here's a review of last year. In 2010, for our $50 incentive to participate in the HRA, we had 1,055 employees participate, and that was $52,750 that we paid out. And then rewards that they received last year for their points, we had 358 employees that completed all the points and received those rewards for $80,000. And we assume that that'll be somewhere close to the same this year. Now, we have formed a new, what we're calling a wellness team, that we've put together employees that have participated every year and been successful with earning points. And what we're wanting to do is kind of concentrate on that. As you see, we had 1,000 people that participated in the HRA and 358 that earned points. We want to try to get more people participating. So we've got subdivisions there. We've got program that is chaired by Ann Salyer-Caldwell, and we've got promotions that's chaired by Judy Ketchum and Mary Louise Garcia. So We're just looking at trying to make our participants more successful this year as far as earning points and participating, and maybe we'll see some better numbers next year on our health risk assessment reports. So that's basically what I had to offer you today.
All right.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Yes.
Oh.
Can you relate these incentive awards and reward payments to savings in health insurance costs?
That is difficult to do. You can relate it to improved health for sure, which should correlate with improved health. But we do not have a good way of actually tracking that. Your health care costs are going to go up every year. Your insurance costs are going to go up every year. We're never even going to be able to see them go flat just because of increases in prices. So hopefully we'll see smaller percentages of increases each year. That's what we're shooting for. And then the big thing is shooting for a healthier population. We do know we've had numerous people that have lost anywhere from 50 pounds to over 100 pounds participating in the program, changing their diet, exercising. We've caught people when we've done the HRA that have had triglycerides that were over 700 that have then gone to the doctor. People who had high blood pressure that didn't know they had high blood pressure that have gone to the doctor. You might argue that that increased our costs because they're going to the doctor and now they're on medication, but now they're not having heart attacks and strokes and hospitalization and that sort of thing. So it's a hard thing to actually quantify and put on paper.
Is it likely that this program prevents at least one open heart surgery?
I would wager to say yes.
Okay. So
Yes. In some instances, I would guess very highly on that because of the triglyceride levels have been unbelievable on some people. It really has, really high, which is an indication of a poor diet usually.
Over what period will we need to measure health status and changes in health status to prove?
Well, we're seeing a change every year. I just showed you a change in health status where we made improvements. Now, as far as insurance and actual return on investment, they say you've got to look at least 5 years out. And we're coming up close on that, and we're looking at ways to try to measure that.
Okay.
it'll be good. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
There's not a proposal yet.
The second item.
Agenda.
Yes, sir. Yes, so there is. We're asking the court to approve the 2011 Health Risk Assessment Incentive Awards. And again, this is very similar to the program that we offered last year, where participating employees receive a $50 incentive.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? There being none, please vote. Vote is unanimous. Thank you, Tina.
Thank you.
Court, just for your information, that the funding for this is not a general fund funding. It comes out of the leftover forfeiture funds on the 125 plan.
Okay. Information technology. You don't look like Mr. Smith.
No, Mr. Smith is out with a funeral today. We're asking for approval of supplement number 1 to the contract with Expedient Technologies in regarding to RFP number 2008-020, the application development and support of the District Attorney electronic case filing system.
Move approval.
I will second.
Motion made and second to approve. Any discussion? Please vote. Vote is unanimous. Thank you. We have no purchasing items today.
That's a good.
Okay.
Oh, come on, let's do something.
County Judge and Commissioners, I believe all of those have been removed except G and H.
I move approval of 8J1, G, and H.
I'll second. Any discussion? Please vote. Vote is unanimous. Appointments?
Yes,
We
sir.
have one.
I do have one appointment. I would like to appoint Mr. Steve McCollum onto the JPS board to take place of Mr. Bruce Capehart. whose term has expired on March 2010. Mr. McCollum is a former councilman at large from the city of Arlington for 8 years. I known him and have been working with him for the past decade or so, and I believe he would do a very, very good job on the JPS board. So I would like to move for approval of this appointment.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? Please vote. Vote is unanimous. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you, sir.
Any bonds? We have our claims and the addendum.
Move approval of the claims, including the addendum.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? Please vote. Vote is unanimous. Briefing items, Mr. Manius.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. We have one item we'd like to bring to the court this morning. This is item A. It's a position description review project. Ms. Worthy is here to address the court at this time.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, I'm going to talk a little bit about a project that we are working on to update our job descriptions and try to get more consistency within our job descriptions. Currently, the county has about over 1,000 position descriptions, and those job descriptions are written by the departments. Typically, a department will fill out what we call a position description questionnaire that will be then reviewed by Human Resources and the Job Evaluation Committee, and then that document is put into our final format for a job description. And as you know, the Job Evaluation Committee uses the Hay Guide charts to evaluate those and make recommendations to pay grade assignments for your approval. What we are wanting to focus on in this project and to work at developing some consistency is the minimum requirements section. And this section includes the education and experience requirements and some specific skills, abilities, knowledge, certifications that an individual might need to be able to minimally perform these duties. And this is minimum qualifications. Certainly, if a department finds somebody that has qualifications above that, then that wouldn't be prohibitive to hire them, but we want those to be minimum. And of course, this information is also crucial in consideration by the Job Evaluation Committee in making a grade assignment or a recommendation for a pay grade. The committee looks at know-how or knowledge. They don't specifically look at a specific level of education or a specific level of experience. They look at general know-how that's required to perform the duties of the position. So what we've done is we've gone through and looked at every position and developed a big file where we've been able to compare all the requirements of all of our position descriptions. And we found that we have some inconsistencies, which probably isn't a surprise to anyone. And where we're finding some of our inconsistencies is in two areas. In similarly graded positions across the county. For example, especially in the administrative clerical area, you might have a general office clerk 3 in one department that has significantly higher requirements than a general office clerk 3 in another department. And we want to build some consistency across job titles and pay grades, especially in those more generic areas of our administrative clerical areas. And the other place we found inconsistency in what we'll call ladder positions. For example, in a department that might have multiple levels, a 1, 2, and 3 of something. I'll pick on the auditor's office, not saying that they have this issue, but an auditor 1, 2, and 3. Sometimes the requirements are not consistent as you build up in pay grade. And usually that's happened because they might have written a job description for one of them 3 years ago. They go back and ask for a new position and didn't go back and look to see what would have been consistent. And so we want to build some consistency there. And some of the way that this has happened, not only that job descriptions are written at different times, but while HR often makes recommendations to departments on what we think is a consistent or an appropriate requirement, sometimes they don't always take our advice, and so we would like us to have a little more ability to make recommendations for them to accept from HR in building consistencies. And oftentimes the committee notices these as well and will address it with an individual making a presentation. And look, I've already said that this screen. So we do want to have some ability to have a little stronger voice in the requirements as departments write their descriptions. So our recommendations is, of course, we want to use some basic guidelines based on salary grade for education and experience. And obviously, there are going to be a few outliers, especially in some of those fields that are very specific, some of our science fields, those kind of things. We want to be able to grandfather incumbents if they don't meet the requirements. For example, if that position might have had a high school in 2 years and we're going to bump it up to a high school in 3, if you have somebody that's already in that position, they'll remain in that position and won't affect an individual. And if we need to change any titles, we want to have the ability to do that. And, of course, we want to ensure that we have appropriate job descriptions for all of our positions and that we don't have any positions that don't have a job description or a position description. So our next step, based on those recommendations, is we want to begin to work with the departments. We hope we'll start scheduling meetings with the departments in the next few weeks and go through the files of their individual positions and show them where they might have inconsistencies compared to other positions in the county or within their own, as we call them, ladders before, and make recommendations and try to build those consistencies. And obviously, once we have done that, we will come back to you and give you the results. And if there's issues to be discussed where a department may not want to make changes or what have you, then we'll discuss that with you all at that time. So that's our next step in our recommendations, and I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have about this project.
Once you unify all the job descriptions, if changes need to be made to fit a certain situation within a certain department, how flexible are you?
Well, certainly, I think we'll have to look at those on a case-by-case basis. I think we want to avoid departments coming to us and wanting to make changes that then get us lose our consistency. But like I said, I think there may be some cases, especially, like I said, in our high science areas, that their requirements might be a little bit different than in other departments. And certainly, we want departments to be able to find appropriate people for their positions. We don't want the requirements to be so high they can't find people. And we also don't want the departments to write their descriptions with the intent of getting a certain pay grade. And so we want to be able to control that as well. So there will be certainly some flexibility. But we don't want to get in the same situation, 10 years from now where we've let them be so flexible that we're back without our consistency.
Exactly.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any announcements or comments today? I would like to request that we close Commissioners Court today in memory of Ronnie Thompson, Deputy Constable, retired. His funeral was yesterday. In fact, I was out in your precinct in Rendon. But 51 years old. He used to work out in Precinct 4, and I believe then he went over to 6 or 7. I'm not sure which one. 7. If we could do that, I would appreciate it.
Yes, certainly.
With those comments, we are adjourned.